Inquiry-based learning and teaching is for anyone of any grade. I cannot imagine a 7-year-old or a 15-year-old who would not be more excited about being able to guide their own learning and understanding than just doing what the teacher is telling you to do.
One of the reasons I love starting with inquiry is because you don't need to have answers in the first lesson. My name is Allison Dempsey. This year I'm teaching 5th grade social studies in Sunset Park, Brooklyn. Racist teaching and learning is upholding the systems and sort of like the classroom hierarchy. Inquiry-based learning challenges that model because the children guide the learning. I want to help break down the idea that race is a scientific concept and coax out this idea that race has been constructed, and it has been constructed to keep one group in power over other people. The goal of my first lesson was to gather information about what my students know or what they think they know and what questions they have. So what are some racial differences that you've noticed around you? Who would like to share?
People are different, so they get treated based on how they look, and who decided that is the dominant culture.
What is the dominant culture? What does the dominant culture do?
They make people believe certain stereotypes about a certain group of people, not just blacks, but also browns or indigenous. Anybody whose skin color is darker.
Dominant culture is for powerful people with power, and white people make other people think that black people are bad. So that's why black people don't have power.
If a white person kills a black person, they call it self-defense. But if a black person kills a white person, it says murder. That's how unfair black people's life is.
They actually knew it. They actually said everything that we were going to be learning together. They said it in a kid version, maybe, but it was all that what they brought up was exactly it. And I feel like what a lot of us are saying right now is that it shouldn't matter what your difference is. We should respect each other's differences, and it's okay to be different, right? Nervousness, I think, is an important part of the process. We have our own baggage around these issues, but you have to start somewhere. You're not going to get it right all the time. You might not even get it right the first few times you do it. I certainly did not. It's now been 7 years, and every year I get better at it. As a teacher, I'm okay not knowing the answers, and a lot of teachers think they have to know the answers and be prepared for any response that's going to come up in their classroom because, kids will say lots of things. You don't have to know everything. You don't have to be the expert. Day 1 is just gathering information about what they know. Day 2, I wanted to have some understanding of how we have so many different skin colors and physical differences as humans, but that it's not scientifically based on true differences between different groups of people. Here's a map of how our different ancestors developed different skin colors. You might notice that on this map on the left, we know that there's all different types of skin colors. We've even talked about it. But this map on the right makes it seem like there are only 5 groups based on race.
I think that's messed up because there's a lot of people who are different.
It's kind of like in kindergarten or something when you were sorting buttons into different colors. There could be many different types of blues, but we would just put it in the same category.
How did the people invent race?
Why did people invent race?
I have those same questions. Who do you think invented race?
And why do you think humans invented race?
People who I guess like ruled something or could make people believe something.
Somebody who wanted to like be more like important, maybe.
You're already onto the answers that I'm about to give
Wait.
you.
You know who made race?
I don't know.
Miss Dempsey.
That's what we're gonna find out. Who invented this whole business all anyway?
I wanted them to first have sort of like this basis of like, oh, even though I think I see race, in the end, we're actually, genetically speaking, more similar than we are different. I wanted them to sort of understand, which I think a lot of them did, was that it doesn't really seem fair. Some of my kids have said, like, I don't really know even which group I fit into. How am I represented here?
Are these the only numbers for skin colors? No, there's like so many more. Some people are in between. I see people writing in the chat, I'm kind of in between a 3 and a 4.
One of the best things to say to a kid or a group of kids is, that's a great question. I have that question too. You can move forward as a group together, everybody trying to figure out answers to that question, because a lot of these big topics don't have answers or don't have clear answers. And then the third lesson goes back to, so where did these ideas develop? And that's where we bring in power, and the early colonial America being a very unequal place with a small group of people who held most of the wealth. And this group of people not wanting the people who worked for them to rise up and overthrow this power. And so what did they do? They start to, separate people. They start to make one group against another group, and then they start to give advantages, small advantages, and then bigger advantages to people who look like them. And so this is where we're seeing this hierarchy based on skin color and place of origin.
Are you all ready to get started? At different times throughout history, selfish men have created unjust, racist laws and have spread racist attitudes as a way to divide the people they take advantage of. Prejudice has been used as a tool for these greedy men to protect their money and interests. What do you all think? What did we just learn here? Denny?
I learned that bad people maybe made the racist attitude, maybe they create racism to it ruin people's lives.
Ooh, created racism to ruin people's lives.
Prejudice has been used as a tool for these greedy men to protect their stuff.
They mostly did this just for themselves, just for them to have more power in a way.
It's like they were protecting themselves as if the people they took advantage of were bad.
And basically the law said, we don't want people to mix together, because if people mix together, they're going to join forces. They're going to see that we can be nice to each other. We don't need to separate into separate races and separate groups.
The only way we could fix racism is that if we come together and stop separating each other.
Exactly. And you all did a beautiful job as usual.
I think what delighted me the most was seeing how the work I had already been doing for those first 4 months of the school year was being used and transferred into the work of that lesson. Just the things that they brought up, it was so evident to me that we had already been having so many of the conversations we needed to have for this, conversation to be so fruitful. We're inching along, but this is really year-long work in my classroom. Those videos were the first 3 days of our launch into the struggle for freedom in our country and for justice. This work needs to start young so that the next generation of change makers can be informed as they grow. It's important to shine a light on, the narratives that are not often taught in our history, in American history, in our social studies curriculum. And then also kids developing critical consciousness, being critical thinkers, problem solvers. They need opportunities to be asked, what is your opinion on this? How do you feel about this? Every time they're doing that, they're learning more of the language to articulate, what they're seeing around them. This work should be centered so that we can actually create real change as we move forward as a country, as we try to build a better country together.